Up, the show that brings you exclusive audio behind some of the key refereeing decisions in the Premier League. As always, I'm joined by Howard Webb, the Chief Refereeing Officer at PGMO, who we'll be hearing from very shortly. But before we get started, here's a quick reminder of who you'll be hearing from in today's clips. On the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see subtitles from the officials in the VAR booth. And on the right-hand side, you'll see subtitles from the on-field officials. It's important to note that the referee does not hear everything that is said. But when the VAR is speaking directly to the referee, the VAR subtitle graphic will turn green. OK, first up, Sunday's game between Manchester City and Liverpool, and a Virgil van Dijk goal that was ruled out for offside interference by Andy Robertson.
Robertson's in line of vision right in front of the keeper. He's ducked under the ball. He's very, very close to him. I think he's line of vision. I think he's been impacted, mate.
Okay, so offside then.
I think offside.
On-field decision offside.
Checking the on-field decision of offside against Andy Robertson. Delay. So you got clear offside position.
Right, talk to me,
you got a movement. You got a high ground to show how high he is in terms of line of vision.
Very close to Donnarumma.
I agree with the on-field decision. I think he's offside.
Virgil,
It's a clear, an obvious action which clearly impacts on the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Okay, so it's Michael confirming the on-field decision of offside against Andy Robertson. He is in an offside position very close to the goalkeeper and makes an obvious movement directly in front of him. Check complete offside.
Big decision, Howard. I am strongly of the opinion that should have stood. What's your view on that?
Yeah, for sure, Michael, a huge decision, obviously, in a big game. We've known from our conversations before that offside, interfering with an opponent where the offside position player doesn't play the ball and the officials have to make a judgment whether the actions of that player impact an opponent are some of the most subjective decisions that we have to make. And therefore, it's no surprise that some people believe that this goal should have stood, as you've just said. So I think it's important that we look at the facts of what actually happened in this situation. We know the corner comes in and the ball reaches Van Dijk. As the ball's coming across the penalty area, the Manchester City players move out. They leave Robertson in that offside position in the heart of the 6-yard box. When Van Dijk heads the ball forward, that's the moment when we have to make an offside judgment about Robertson and about what he's doing there. We know he doesn't touch the ball, but what does he do? Well, for sure, as the ball moves towards him, 3 yards out from goal, right in the middle of the 6-yard box, he makes that clear action to duck below the ball goes just over his head. And the ball finds the goal in the half of the 6-yard box where he is. Then the officials have to make a judgment. Did that clear action impact on Donnarumma, the goalkeeper, and his ability to save the ball? And that's where the subjectivity comes into play.
OK, well, first of all, before we ask any more questions, let's just have a look at the offside rule here. It's mainly this bottom rule, isn't it? Making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. That's probably the one that relates to this incident. He's not making an action that impacts the ability of the opponent to play the ball. He's actually, if he's going towards the ball or making throwing a leg out, then I get it. But he's actually avoiding any interference with the ball. So that, to me, doesn't tick the box.
Well, he's certainly making an action. The action is one of ducking below the ball. The ball's coming towards him. He moves below the ball. It goes over his head. The issue with that, the officials have to judge, is does that position of Robertson there and the action of ducking below the ball impact Donnarumma? I think it's... Obviously, that's the conclusion they drew on that. They looked at that position, they looked at that action so close to the goalkeeper, and they formed that opinion. I know that's not a view held by everybody, but I think it's not unreasonable to understand why they would form that conclusion when the player is so close to the goalkeeper, the ball's coming right towards him, he has to duck to get out of the way of the ball, and they form the conclusion that that impacts Donnarumma's ability just to dive towards the ball and make that save. And then, of course, once they've made that on-field decision, the job of the VAR is to look at that and decide, was that outcome of offside clearly and obviously wrong? Only Donnarumma truly knows if he was impacted by this. And of course, we have to look at the factual evidence. And when we see that factual evidence of that position of the player ducking below the ball, so close to the goalkeeper, the VAR determines that the outcome of offside is not clearly and obviously wrong, and they stay out of it.
Yeah, I mean, we can quite clearly see, I've just sort of paused it on Virgil van Dijk heading the ball here. We can quite clearly see that Donnarumma has a clear view on it. So he's not really interfering there, although he is in line with the goal. But lots of goals have been given when players are in an offside position. And the ball's gone in. So he's quite clearly got a perfect vision there. And when we just forward a little bit, let's say, and he starts ducking, I mean, Donnarumma, I can't see any way at all why Andy Robertson affected Donnarumma in any way, shape or form. He's still diving regardless. And that's why I think the goal should stand. I hear your reasons why it might not have stood and why it didn't stand. But I think general consensus is that he didn't affect Donnarumma that much and that this goal should have stood.
And it's important, I think you made an important point about line of vision. You do hear the assistant, in this case, talk about line of vision. I agree with you. The line of vision normally would relate to the view being blocked of the ball. On that one, it does see the ball all the way, but the assistant also talks about other things, ducking below the ball, being close to the goalkeeper. Those in themselves can be enough to penalise a player for offside, interfering with an opponent, even if the keeper can see the ball coming all the way along. He's still in front of the goalkeeper. He still makes that ducking action. That could still cause hesitation from the goalkeeper. Goalkeepers work on reactions that make it possible to pull out some incredible saves, and that's the judgment formed on the field. So you're right about the line of vision, but there's other aspects that can also say that this is an offside offence, and that's why the VAR left it alone.
Last season, between Manchester City and Wolves, Arne Slot actually made this comparison, so it's probably worth just having a look at this. This goal was given offside in real time, and then the goal was changed, or the goal was given, let's say, on review. What's the difference?
I think there's a clear difference here in that the ball goes directly over Sarr's head, the goalkeeper, Jose Sarr's head. It doesn't go over Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva is in an offside position when John Stones heads the ball forward. Importantly, he moves to the left away from the flight of the ball, as we're looking at it here, and the ball goes straight over Sarr. It doesn't go over the head of Bernardo Silva in the way that it went over the head of Robertson, who ducked below it. So I think it's difficult here to see this and think in any way that Jose Sarr is impacted by an action of Bernardo Silva. If the ball had gone over Bernardo Silva's head, maybe causing Jose Sarr to hesitate in case it hits Bernardo Silva, then we'd come out with the same outcome of check complete on the on-field decision of disallowed goal.
To start, isn't there, really? It's at the Etihad. Man City, dismantled the champions Liverpool with that comprehensive 3-0 win. But could it have been different? Should it have been different if Virgil van Dijk's header hasn't been ruled out in the first half with the score at 1-0? Look, Dermot, we're going to get straight into it with you. Is this a subjective decision or that grey area for you?
I think both, Hayley. I think it is subjective without doubt. And it is a grey area because it's all about the interpretation. And as we've seen, we were just talking off screen, Jay and I, and we see things slightly different, don't we? Everybody sees things slightly different. And that's why you can throw up a decision from last year or earlier in the season and go, well, they made a slightly different decision. It's because we see things slightly differently. I don't think there's hard and fast rules.
Yeah, what do you think, Jay?
I think this should have been given a goal. If you look at it here, Van Dijk's gone up, he's headed the ball. When you look at Donnarumma, he is coming across slightly to his right, but then he pivots to the left. So that means he can see where the ball is going. Yes, Robertson has ducked, but if anything, the person that's in his eye line more would be Doku, more than Robertson. And, I don't know if you can read the rule, but it was something along the lines of the player making an action. Mm-hmm. A player making an action, in my opinion, is if he moves towards the ball or he tries to make contact with the ball. Robertson there has just ducked. So to me, he's made no action or effort to try and deflect the ball or get his head on it or whatnot. He's just got himself out the way of the ball. So that's why I think it should have been given, and I think that was a poor decision.
Yeah, look, we'll look specifically at the rules in just a moment, go through it. But look, this is what Andy Robertson made of the call.
I can't really comment on it. I think we'll let other people do that. But for me, it looked as, a duck out the way. But I don't think the keeper is in any eye line to me, and that's the rules we get told at the start of the season. So it's a little bit of a difficult one. So I think that should have stood.
OK, so, right, these are the rules then. This is what we want to clarify. So, Dermot, we've got the first bullet point, clearly obstructing the opponent's line of vision. And draw your attention to the fourth bullet point, making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. What's in play here?
Also 3, isn't it, where he's close to the opponent, and I think that's got to be bear in mind. We saw at Everton a few weeks ago, Jack Grealish, corner comes across, Jake O'Brien heads it on, and Jack Grealish is stood next to Vicario. And I think this is similar in so much as Robertson's. If you look behind the goal, when Van Dijk heads the ball, Robertson is within 2 feet of the goalkeeper. So his presence impacts. This is the problem. It's not an exact science. There isn't somebody to go, that's definitely this, that's definitely this.
But I mean, one thing I would say, Bernardo Silva last season had the same, and a goal got given. I think it was with the same referee as well. So again, I mean, it's an interpretation, but it's the same referee. When I look at this, yes, he is close to him. So he might see him in his peripheral vision. He might understand that he is there. But obviously, first and foremost, Donnarumma is focused on the ball because he needs to know exactly where the ball is going. Now, there's no hesitation from Donnarumma, as in, where is it going? So the fact that he hasn't hesitated at all and he's dived away, he's probably a hand away from the ball. He's dived, he hasn't gone, higher or lower. It's actually in line with where the ball enters the net.
Yep.
Tells me it wasn't offside. And Robinson, he's ducked out the way. He's ducked. The person that is more in his eye line that would have hindered him more in terms of vision would have been Doku, because Doku was standing right ahead of him. So that's why I think it should have been a goal, and I think it's a poor decision. But, like you said, it's an interpretation. And I think they need to, clamp down on the rules, how to make it more clear.
Yeah, well, that was my start point, wasn't it? Is that we have this grey area, we have this interpretation. Just to clear one thing up, I'm not trying to defend Chris Kavanagh, but I don't think you should hang him back to dry because he didn't make that decision yesterday. The decision was made by the assistant. The one at Wolves, he made the decision because he was sent to the monitor yesterday. He wasn't. So it is slightly different in that. Yeah. Bear in mind, this was an on-field decision. The on-field decision was no goal. So the VAR looks and the VAR says, is Robertson in an offside position? Yes. Is he impacting on the goalkeeper? They obviously felt yes because he was close. And I think that's why people are going, well, it should be this, it should be this. At the moment, it's not, is it? At the moment, it's left to interpretation.
Is that why? But the VAR said, why don't you go and look at the screen at this one? Is the reason why they didn't do that because they're like, well, we don't know, so we're just going to go with your decision on this one?
No, see, the VAR's not there to judge. It's not a panacea. It's not going to say, you've got this right, Jay, you've got this wrong.
Surely that's what VAR's for, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not. That's a complete myth. It's there. Is it a clear and obvious error? Well, when you go through it stage by stage, is Robertson in offside position? Yes. Not necessarily an offence, but he is an offside position.
It's not an offence, is it?
No, that's what I said. It's not an offence, but he's in an offside position.
Yes.
Point one. Point two is he close to the goalkeeper and possibly impacting him? Well, he is.
But he's not impacted him, though.
Well, the assistant felt he was, and the video shows that he is in that position.
But that's an interpretation, isn't it? If he's impacting him.
Exactly. And if the VAR says you have to go and look at this, what you're doing, you're re-refereeing because you're saying...
But VAR do that every week. VAR do that all the time.
VAR gets...
Why is this any different?
Because they didn't think it was a clear and obvious error.
But then surely you should say to him, go to the camera to see if you think you've got this wrong.
You're not listening. You're not listening. He can only be sent to the screen if it's a clear and obvious error or if it's a subjective offside which they have to go through. The on-field decision was no goal.
Yeah, I understand that.
Well, what can you do? The on-field decision can be backed up by the video, can't it? He is in offside position. He is close to the goalkeeper. So they say he's impacted.
Yeah, but they're not impacted. Was it again, sorry, the term they used, the fourth one?
It was...
Impacting an opponent.
Making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball.
Where is the action that he's made that's impacted anything? That's what I want to know. Like, there is no action. An action would be throwing a foot at the ball or throwing your head at the ball. He has ducked. There is absolutely no action there that says he is interfering with play.
But we've gone through that.
What's the action? What is the action that they've gone with there? Can you tell me that?
I've told you.
What's that?
I've told you. He's in that proximity. He's moved away from the ball to clear the ball.
And that's my point. If he's moving away from the ball, it's not an action. If he was moving towards the ball, if he made an action toward the ball to try and flick it, then I could understand. The fact that he's just moved out the way, that's not an action.
But he's moved out the way to clear the ball. So his impact on the goal. That was the decision.
Yeah,
wait. The decision was disallowed on field. And that's what I'm explaining to you. You can ask me till 12 o'clock when we go off air.
But the fact that he's moved out the way, the fact that he's moved out the way, which means Donnarumma's still got full vision of the ball. So he's moved, so Donnarumma he's got a better chance of saving it. The fact that he's moved...
He has.
If he deflects it the other way, then he's got no chance.
He has, but that ball has moved 10 yards before he's moved out of the way. I can only tell you what I've seen, what the law is, and what they've come up with.
And bearing in mind as well, let's take this into consideration. Donnarumma's 6'7". Robinson is probably 5'8". So he can see and look. He's above everyone, right? So he can see the ball coming. And I just don't see, if the ball was coming from this angle and he's standing behind, then I would say I completely understand that. Okay. But the fact that he's standing I don't even know if I'm on my screen, sorry, Dams, can I use you? The fact that he's standing there and the ball's coming this way, I don't understand how he would be impacting. He's aware that he's there, but he definitely wouldn't be impacting him. The only time he would impact him, if he makes an action towards the ball. Sorry, Dams, I manhandled you there.
That's fine.
Let's just leave it there with you guys for now. Let's move on to what Jamie Carragher made of it yesterday. This is what he thinks.
We've got to keep an eye on Donnarumma here and where he shifts his weight. Now, right now, if he's going to dive, you could say, OK, Andy Robertson is in his way, but we're going to try and move this on really, really slowly. Donnarumma's weight is going to his right. He thinks the header for Van Dijk is going to go to his right. Look at his foot. So he's moving actually the opposite way. His foot is now planted now. Exactly the time the ball goes over Andy Robertson's head. So that is the true moment we should be looking at, not when it leaves Van Dijk's head, when it goes over Andy Robertson's head and he makes an action to get out of the way of the ball.
Does he have a point there then, Dermot?
I think everybody has a point, Hayley, because everybody sees it slightly differently. And that's what, you asked me at the start, is it subjective, is it a grey area? And I said both. And I think that's the problem. There is no hard and fast. There isn't almost a line that you go, that's this. It's left to interpretation because the law isn't tight enough.
OK, let's get Arne Slot's view then here now.
I think it's obvious and clear that the wrong decision has been made, at least in my opinion.
Sorry, Arne, why do you think that?
Because he didn't interfere at all with what the goalkeeper could do. I immediately after the game, someone showed me the goal that what the same referee allowed City against Wolves last season, Wolves against City last season. So it took the linesman 13 seconds to raise his flag to say it's offside. So there was clearly communication.
Yeah, so Slot bringing up that Wolves game then. So Dermot, take us through the differences between yesterday's decision and what Slot referenced from last season, Chris Kavanagh, the referee again.
I think this one he's bang in line. There's no doubt about that, he's bang in line. So it's a matter of, does he think he's in his line of vision when he was sent to the screen? Because the on-field decision was no goal. He was sent to the screen because it was subjective. When he went to the screen, he felt there was enough distance between them where the ball had gone because the ball's gone up high.
I'll tell you why this one's a little bit different, Derms, because Bernardo Silva's actually made contact with the goalkeeper as well. But the fact that it's still been given tells me that, I mean, he has, as the ball's been headed, obviously Bernardo Silva's moved away there. So I think that is the right decision. It should have been given. And I think that one is a very good example of what should have been given yesterday. It's very, very similar. If anything, that one's worse because Bernardo Silva's actually touched the goalkeeper and put him off.
Yeah,
I think what it highlights is how difficult these kind of decisions are.
Should he not have sent him over to the screen, though?
Well, they found the assistant to give offside. And as I said earlier, everything backs that up, doesn't it?
You know what, though? I have to be honest with you. Again, I allude back to if players are allowed to go into the VAR room to just help. Because I haven't heard one single player yet, ex-player, whoever, say that shouldn't have been a goal. That's the correct decision. Every single ex-player, player that I've spoken to and heard from, they've said that's a goal.
Yeah.
The only people I'm hearing, you know, is it shouldn't be, is the referees and the ex-referees.
Maybe that's why I'm an ex-referee.
Right, there have been some developments on that incident. So we've got our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solokol, to join me. What can you tell us about this?
Well, Liverpool have actually contacted PGMOL today to raise significant concerns about Virgil van Dijk's goal being disallowed. And I think their position is that a mistake was made and the goal should not have been ruled out. Now, they accept that officials have a difficult job, but they don't understand how the VAR checks and balances which are in place did not result in the goal being awarded. Van Dijk's header would have made the score 1-1 just before half-time. Liverpool, of course, went on to lose the game 3-0. I don't think this is a case of sour grapes. Liverpool accept the result of the game. They accept the fact that they lost the game. But they are just saying, look, we believe a big mistake was made in this instance, and we want to make sure that the mistake is not made again, and that is why we have contacted PGMOL. And I think Liverpool today have looked at this incident from multiple angles. Every angle that's available to them, they have looked at it, and they just cannot understand why the goal was disallowed, because from their opinion, it is clear that Andrew Robertson was not in Gianluigi Donnarumma's line of vision, and he made no attempt to play the ball at all. He actually ducked. So they believe that the score should have been 1-1 there and then, although it's quite possible that they would have gone on to lose the game anyway.
OK, so now we wait for a response from the PGMOL.
Yeah, we have contacted PGMOL, and we will bring you their response as soon as we get it.